A spectacular performance. Curry from half court.
Sometimes, something looks like it's been there a while.
We are here back after the end of the regular season. We are approaching the play-in games. It's going to start tomorrow. The matchups are set. So, the 76ers and the Heat are going to be playing on the East Coast for the 7th seed position. And then the loser of that will play against the winner of the 9th and 10th seed matchups, which are the Bulls and the Hawks. The Bulls got the 7th seed, 9th seed. The Hawks got the 10th seed. The winner of that will play against the loser of the 76ers and Heat. They will get the 8th seed. That's the Eastern side. Now let's go over to our lovely West. The Lakers snuck up to the 8th seed. We were hoping that would be us, but it didn't work that way because we lost to the Pelicans, and the Kings also lost. So that kind of worked out for the Lakers. The 7th seed belongs to the Pelicans. The 8th seed belong to the Lakers. So they're going to be playing against the first play-in match. The winner of that gets the 7th seed. The loser will play against the winner of the Kings and the Warriors match. The Kings are the 9th seed. We are the 10th seed. So deep rivalries continue. The Warriors will have to face the Kings, and we may even have to face the Lakers. So the NBA kind of wrote the script too well. They perfected the script. I think let's just start off with the first, how the boys feel about seedings, how we feel about the overall structure of the league, and in hindsight, if we had looked back before the regular season began, what kind of things would have surprised us, what would not have surprised us, and more. So I'm thinking I'm going to pass the rock to Thomas.
Oh,
That was a really broad intro. Like, what? Just an overview of the league.
No, just anything that caught out to you.
Is that the theme? Okay. Well, I think we can all agree that biggest storyline of the entire NBA season right now is the triumphant return of Joel Embiid to the Philadelphia 76ers. If you're talking about things that would have surprised me going into the season, obviously, if I'd looked at the end-of-season standings and seen the 76ers at 7th, I would have been a little bit shocked. But obviously, important context. Embiid missed, I think, about almost exactly half the regular season. I think like 36 games, something around there.
it's like 2 months. Yeah.
76ers played at a 31 win pace with him and a 65 win pace with that. 31 win pace without him.
Wow.
Would you look at that?
Pace with him. He's not, in fact, the worst player of all time, despite what some people will say. And shout out Thinking Basketball for giving me that stat.
Shout out.
I think if you're looking at, obviously this is 2024 NBA. There's a lot of teams. There's the Warriors, the Heat, the Lakers. These are all teams who are the 7 seed or lower, but despite that, are being given serious consideration as teams that can make a potential playoff run by most people, or at least most people in the media. It's an interesting trend, I guess you could say. It's an interesting state of affairs. If you ask me, setting Warriors bias aside, I would take the 76ers the most seriously out of all of those 4 teams. It's a really, really, really difficult case to make. I already got flamed for trying to make it earlier this, in one of our first episodes of this season, trying to make the case for a genuine Joel Embiid playoff masterclass. You don't need to laugh. Look, the reality is he has been injured in every single series he has basically ever played in the playoffs. And that's not going to change this year because he's now coming into the playoffs with I forget, some meniscus thing. Which they're saying isn't going to be bad and isn't going to affect him, but who knows. But the reality is, to me,
no injuries in the playoffs affect him.
We have never, ever, ever once seen the real Joel Embiid in the playoffs, and that is what I am most excited for this year.
We've never seen the real Joel Embiid. When he has no injuries, he has nothing going on. He disappears with an injury, oh my God, it's over. Now, luckily, this season they could kind of use an excuse like, oh, he wasn't 100% healthy, he wasn't 100% healed. But come on, dude.
He has been gifted now a coach who has won an NBA championship before, coach who has proven his ability to get the most out of his players, coach who has already successfully designed one of the most efficient offensive systems in the league around Embiid. When he was on the court this year, they were one of the most efficient offenses in the league. There is no reason except for genuine, a genuine, an anomalous struggle on the part of Embiid in the playoffs that they will not make some noise this year. So that, if you were asking me about one thing I'm excited for, it's that
you could have the greatest coach of all time.
Wrong.
You could have the greatest coach of all time, but if you
he's only had shitty coaches. He's only had shitty coaches, I feel like.
Sure, but if you don't show up to play, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You could have God himself coaching your team. If you don't show up to play, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I agree that they got a good coach, but track record stands that Embiid chokes in the playoffs. And I mean, nothing will convince me otherwise until he goes out there and he hoops and he proves us wrong.
I'm excited to see
it. Well, he said that last season as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate because this team looked like the best the best Sixers team you might have had.
That is true. That is true.
Like maybe since like the Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, because like the depth of this team is like highly underrated.
They won second he came back. They immediately won 6 games to close out the regular season. They looked dominant.
That's why I really like this team.
Past week.
I really like this team. And he is a legit second option with Tyrese, so
They have such great synergy. The way that they run those handoffs, they clearly understand what each other is trying to do when they're on the court. There's almost a little bit of reminiscence to the Jamal Murray Jokic 2-man game, although I don't want to be disrespectful.
That's disrespectful.
And really compare them, but they're definitely a little bit reminiscent. Obviously, Embiid is in his dreams is half the playmaker that Jokic is. So you can never truly equal the synergy that him and Murray have, but they try to run it the same. And if anything, Embiid is, I mean, no disrespect to Jokic, but if anything, Embiid is actually an even better, more efficient scorer attacking the basket in the face-up game than Jokic is. So that does close, add something to it.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like in the East, like the Sixers with a healthy Embiid, like it's so hard to like get a healthy Embiid. But like with a healthy Embiid, I would feel really good about them against anybody except the Celtics, maybe. But even then, like Embiid's the best player in that series. I think the Celtics just have like overwhelming talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's just I don't know like how well the Tyrese Embiid 2-man game can translate into that. Because if it translates well, then I could be persuaded that they could take the Celtics, but we don't have a healthy Embiid, and we don't really know how the Maxey Embiid 2-man game translates. But
yeah, I think just kind of rolling off you guys. Jokes aside, yeah, I'm excited to see the Sixers in the playoffs. They're starting in a worse position than they were last season. Obviously, last season they were the 3rd seed. This season they're in the play-in. Obviously, because Embiid was injured and they were looking really great when Embiid was not injured. However, they always look really good in the regular season. They're always a high seed in the regular season. The 3rd seed last season. The season before that, the 4th seed. So they're always in a relatively decent positioning. So it doesn't fool me that they were doing really well in the regular season. With that being said, though, there are some great factors. The Maxey Embiid duo has been really good. It's been a lot better than the Harden Maxey Embiid trio. So you do love to see that. And honestly, I'm at the point now where Embiid has kind of became the playoff underdog. And I'm all for an underdog story. I'm all for it.
Doesn't sound like it, bro. You hate him.
What I'm not for is Thomas. That's what I'm not for. This dude has been riding Embiid since God knows when. He said that Embiid is better than Jokic in the early days of the conversations, where Wes, you and I were always like, nah, Jokic over him. And then at one point you kind of switched. You kind of went to the dark side. And then you kind of came back. Luckily, you saw the light. You came back. But that's why I'm a little bit extra hard on Embiid, just because of a friendly colleague banter. Friendly 3 Points podcast colleague banter. but I'm excited to see him. I'm rooting for them. I'm actually rooting for them in the playoffs. I want Embiid to show up, play well, win his playing games, go to the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe do something. You know what I mean? So that's your guys' kind of take on that. I'm also really excited for the Pacers. I'm excited for the Magic. Paolo Banchero's first playoffs. Let's see how he hoops. Let's see how he shows up. I'm also.
Can I just say like Thomas's like takeaway from the season was like Embiid's, or his big takeaway was Embiid's like coming back from injury. But my actual,
obviously I could have said a variety of things, but you said you tried to point me to one way, and that's I got to stay true to my heart.
Okay, well my main takeaway was like how strong the West has been, because like even as unbiased Warriors fans, like coming into the season, we had ourselves as like I kind of forgot, but like we didn't have ourselves in the play-in, that's for sure. And teams like OKC. Exactly. And that's like the thing is that's not like an insane statement, especially at the time. And we don't really know where we would have been like without the Draymond suspension. But I think it's just the West is insanely deep with like the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Pelicans.
No,
like,
I think the biggest stat to support your statement is that you look at the Eastern Conference, the lowest play-in team, the 10th seed, they had a 0.439 percentage. The Warriors, we had
all
a
of us,
we had a 0.561.
And we're the lowest.
So you're comparing the conferences. The Western Conference is significantly more competitive. In the same, with our same record in the Eastern Conference, we are literally the 8th seed. Actually, no, we're even higher than the 8th seed. No, we're on the 8th seed. Exactly the same with the Heat.
Okay. Yeah.
We're on the same.
So, like,
this is with Draymond being suspended.
Yeah, exactly. Comparing talent levels too, like there's like multiple legit contenders in the West, I would say. Like, it's just so much tougher to be a contender when you're in the West, because you have to go through certain teams that like the Celtics don't have to go through, the Bucks don't have to go through. If they had Giannis, I would consider them a contender. Not really anymore, but he
might be back. It's not
back.
Like a foregone conclusion he's going to be out. We don't know yet.
But like in East, there's only like 2 top dogs that you really have to worry about. I think the Knicks are like, when they're healthy, they're kind of maybe there, but like in the West, it's like the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Warriors when they're healthy, the Lakers, the Pelicans. The Pelicans is kind of strong, but like all these teams, I can kind of like see an upset. The Mavericks, I didn't even mention, like Luka, Kyrie, their team's insane since the deadline. So I don't know. It's just
you're absolutely right. I think the thing is that like any one of these teams, I wouldn't say all of them. Like I don't know about how I feel about the Suns and the Pelicans, but other than that, I think everyone who's made the playoffs or play-in / playoffs, they can make a deep run. They can make a deep run.
Yeah.
The East, I can't really see. Like, see the Magic, I don't really see it. The Cavs, don't see it. The Bucks, I guess we could give them a benefit of the doubt because they don't have Giannis.
I mean, it's Doc. You don't need to give them the benefit of the doubt.
The Bulls and the Hawks, like I just don't see it. Like if you look at the Hawks, the Bulls, the Magic, the Cavs, like I just don't really see it. I don't know. I don't.
That's how a team like the Heat. I mean, as they did face like legit competition on the way to their like flukish finals run, like, but that kind of thing can't really happen in the West, really. I mean, the Lakers, you can kind of say it because they made it all the way from the play into the conference finals, but like, I think LeBron was kind of injured in the latter half of the season, so I don't think their seeding really shows how good they really were. But I don't know. It's way hard to have like a Cinderella run through the West than it is in the East, I think.
For sure. It's so competitive in the West.
Yeah.
And I think I guess now that we kind of talked about our overall reactions to the seedings, I will also actually say I'm actually excited for the Celtics too, because they've had the narrative
bounced.
They've had the same narrative that kind of like the Sixers vibe, like, oh, they always don't show up, and the edits are so the Mickey Mouse clubhouse, and it's just all like Tatum taking shots, and it's that one edit of that one dude who looks like Tatum dancing. It's really funny, but I'm excited for them too because it's like
dude always makes me laugh so hard. I love dude. Thank God for blessing us with that guy who happens to look that much like Tatum.
Tatum, we need 35. And it's just him dancing. So they're funny. They're funny, and it's kind of the same thing the 76ers are going through now, except that for the Celtics, it's like, when are they going to take that gap to win a chip? For the Sixers, it's more like, when are they going to take that gap to kind of even make it to the finals, you know? But I'm excited for the Celtics. They had a freaking 64-18 record, which is insane. Insane. Very impressive for the regular season. Damn near 80% win rate. So impressive. I'm excited to see what they do. Can the new addition of Kristaps, the new addition of Drew Holiday really make them go deep? I think we'll save more regular season. Playoff analysis for later. Let's now shift towards play-in analysis, and let's just start with the East. We're gonna save the bulk of our analysis towards the end, which is gonna be the Warriors and the Kings, and then the Warriors / Sacramento or Lakers will be later this week. The Pelicans.
New Orleans,
so,
yeah.
So let's start from bottom up. I would say the Bulls versus the Hawks. I think I'm gonna just start with it. I got the Hawks. I got the Hawks beating the Bulls.
I got the Bulls. I don't really have much analysis.
Interesting.
But
I just think that so for the Hawks, Trey, DeJounte, Clint, they're all healthy, right?
Is Trey healthy?
Is Trey healthy? That is the question.
Because I know against the Celtics,
yes, he is.
It was.
Yes, he
okay,
is.
He is. Okay.
So I'm taking Ice Trey against who? The old man DeMar.
DeMar DeRozan, and then Alex Caruso.
Yes, Levine is injured, no?
Yeah, he doesn't really matter.
Out for the season.
Yeah,
he's a non-factor.
I'm taking the Hawks. I got to put my money in Trey, and DeJounte Murray's been ice cold when.
Oh, he has.
He has. Look, this is a weird matchup. It's the two teams that everybody agrees should not be there, and they're playing against one another. I mean, it's a very strange matchup. It's the one game out of all of these games, play-in or playoff, that features two teams that everybody decisively agrees has zero shot at winning the championship. It almost kind of feels like it shouldn't be there, but it is. I mean, if I'm picking between the two, you got to go with the Hawks. Absolutely. I mean, again, for no reason more complicated than that. They have Trae Young. He's going to be playing in the game for the Hawks. He's not going to play in the game for the Bulls. And I trust him to deliver in a big game far more than I trust DeMar DeRozan.
Facts.
I trust DeJounte Murray, who has proven himself to have that ice cold vein that only the great ones have, except he's not a great one. But
the best
when he gets
front court duo, that's what they said. That's what they're calling them.
When it gets down to the last 2 minutes, sometimes this season he's looked like it. Just generally more guys on the Hawks and the Bulls than I trust to create shots for themselves in a play-in / playoffs situation.
I think that's the best
more
way to
guys
put it.
who I trust
who
to
do
show
we trust
up.
more? I think that's the best way to put it. Because obviously we don't have like real analytical takes on that where, okay, if this does well, that does well. It's more about who you trust, who you put your money in. And I'd put my money with the Ice Trey and DeJounte as well. So West has the Bulls going through. We have the Hawks going through. Now for the Sixers and the Heat. That is an interesting match. Honestly, it's a very interesting match.
I hope the Sixers win. That's what I want. I hope the Sixers win so we can get Heat Celtics in the first round. That's what I'm hoping for.
Ooh, that is nice. But it's tough. Like, honestly, my gut is telling me the Heat are going to win. I don't know. That's what my gut is.
Anything can happen in a one game. That's why, I hope the way this plays out that the Hawks or Bulls, I hope they get bounced by the Sixers or the Heat, because they wouldn't really provide an entertaining series against the Celtics or the Bucks. So
absolutely,
hope they're not part of this. But
I would definitely agree with you. I think the ideal situation is that the Sixers win, then the Heat beat the winner of the 9-10 matchup, and then the Heat versus Celtics would be a great first round playoffs.
For sure.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. It's tough to tell because it's like, I think with the Heat, it's just like, if they show up kind of to play, like they were showing up last playoffs, right? They were showing up to play, and you could tell, and they won games.
And they're better now. But
Exactly, and they're better than they were last season. But what's tricky is that it's easy to tell early on in the game if they have that switch or not. Like the patch between them going up 3-1 against the Celtics. Oh, sorry, 3-0, and then the 3 games that followed it where they proceeded to lose those 3 games. You can kind of tell they were not the same as those first 3 games. Something just didn't feel the same. The energy didn't feel the same or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, I think the 76ers win it. I don't know. I actually have no idea. I genuinely have no clue. I think it's gonna be a really entertaining match. I'm actually really excited for this.
And Embiid's been playing incredibly well. So I mean, I'd be inclined to pick him.
Whenever, especially when you talk about the single elimination game, but I mean, just playoff basketball in general, like,
right,
you have to really start to look at, like, individual matchups and like how can teams check, certain players. Something I'm actually worried about for the 76ers is they don't have anybody to check Jimmy Butler, really. I'm not really sure who they're gonna be throwing at him, whether it's Tobias Harris or Kelly Oubre. I mean, Kelly Oubre checking Jimmy Butler for a single elimination playoff game, like,
yeah, I mean,
that scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
It depends on whether you get like finals Jimmy Butler from last year, who's like 22 points a game on semi-efficient shooting, whether you get like Bucks Jimmy Butler from last year, who's like 35 points a game on insane efficiency. Like, if he can he get it up to that level for a single elimination game? Like, if he can, I'd be a little bit scared if I were the Sixers. Even though I already gave my whole monologue about how they're destined for greatness this year and how the offense is so efficient and all that. But and then on the other end, I think Maxi's gonna have a field day. Because who are you throwing on him? Throwing Terry Rozier on him? Throwing Tyler Hero on him? Duncan Robinson on him? I mean, I'm trying to think who. They still have one of the Martins on their roster, whichever one it was, Caleb or Cody.
Yeah,
it was Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb.
Yeah. I think he might be the best point of attack guy they have, maybe, to throw at Maxi.
Yeah, the thing with Maxi is you need like a speedy guy to throw at Maxi.
Yeah, it's kind of silly to talk about it because, like, obviously they had no issues getting through rounds of the playoffs last year and going against guys like Chris Middleton and then Brunson and all that. So yeah. I mean, obviously, like, it's Spo, like he'll know what to do. But yeah, I mean, I would be a little bit scared about that. As for Embiid, I'm just not worried. Like, he's been efficient against every single. When he's been on the court this year, he's been efficient against every single team he's played. He's been high volume against every single team he's played. I know they have Bam.
That would be an interesting matchup, and that's why it's one of those games where, like, it's a big game for the Sixers because it's like it's not an easy matchup. By no means is it easy. It's a play-in match, but it's a elimination game, playoff environment, and Embiid doesn't have an easy matchup. Bam is not. He's a good defender, so absolutely, you're 100% right. Sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to add that.
No, I mean that's basically what I was going to say. Like, it's Bam, and there's few guys in the league who I would trust more, to take Embiid than Bam, and he's going to be the primary matchup on Embiid, obviously. But it just had, like, this season, it just hasn't mattered. He's just been so efficient against everybody.
Yeah,
it's hard.
And his playmaking's up too.
It's really hard for me to imagine. I mean, again, dude, of course I'm setting myself up because you could say that like last year. It's hard to imagine him dropping off mysteriously, but then it happened. But and it is Spo, so who knows what weird stuff he's gonna throw at him. And Embiid's only gonna have one game to adjust. So if they catch him in something, if they get him in a look that he can't figure out, he could embarrass himself again.
But on the flip side as well, the Heat also only have one game to adjust to him.
Exactly. And with all that being said, like Wes said, his playmaking has gotten better, so I trust him more now to deal with those kind of exotic coverages that stars get in the playoffs. And he has more guys to get it out to, because last year he had to fucking have PJ Tucker on the court for like 20 minutes a game, who can't knock down threes and can't make fucking layups, and just generally is not somebody who you can really trust to pass the ball out to and do anything with it. And now he at least has Kelly Oubre.
PJ Tucker though.
Now, I mean, he at least has Kelly Oubre, who, I mean, as Warriors fans, we know what the Kelly Oubre experience can be. But he's at least a guy you can kick it out to and feel semi-confident that he's going to make, like, 1 out of every threes he takes minimum. And that in and of itself is big for a guy like Embiid who draws so much attention. So with all that being said, I would personally take the 76ers in this one, but I guess this is looking forward a bit, but I would take the Heat by 1 billion against whoever wins Hawks and Bulls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would have to agree with you guys. I think the Sixers are going to
Yeah.
go through. I think because
Facts.
they have good momentum going into this too as well. They're on an 8-game winning streak, so
Yeah.
I
And
would.
think the way I'm looking at it is like this would be a good test for Embiid because if they win, that means he kind of has to have had a good game against Bam because Bam is like one of the best like switchable defenders. Like in terms of like other than Draymond, he's probably one of the best like defensive playmakers. As good as Gobert is, Gobert is like the best rim protector, but Bam's thing is like switchability and like being able to guard multiple guys. And especially the Heat as a team, that's their thing is kind of like defensive playmaking. Like Jimmy and Bam out there are like one of the best 2-man defensive groups to have to like try to score against. So if Embiid does pull it off, then it would have to mean he had a good game. So I mean, it's a good test for sure.
No, absolutely. It's like you said, it's not any small game. It's not a small little game for him. It's a legit game. It's going to be a very fun game. I'm really excited for that matchup. So, stay tuned for that, guys. That's going to be on Wednesday.
Tomorrow. I thought it was tomorrow.
It's on Wednesday, April 17th.
Oh,
West games are tomorrow. East games are on Wednesday.
gotcha.
So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So excited for that. Let's now shift over to the West, our expertise. So the first play-in game is going to be the Lakers and Pelicans. That's going to be for the 7th seed, the winner of which will play against the Nuggets. So honestly, respect, bro. In a way, it worked out for us because I don't want the 7th seed. I don't want like the goal for us should be making it to the Western Conference Finals to inevitably face the Nuggets. And maybe
They're just hoping that somebody could magically knock them out before we do.
yes, or
The Mavericks. Dude, that's how it's gonna happen. I swear. On
That would
God.
be so sick. I would be a Luka fan for life.
dude, I swear. Or, like Jokic, he's tired of the NBA season. He wants to go play with his horses and he takes an early leave.
Leaves in game 3 of the finals.
Leaves in game 3. He's like,
Yeah, I'm done, guys.
I'm done. I'm done for the season. So the Pelicans Lakers, they're the first match. Again, it's one of those games where it's really tough for the elimination games because it's like whoever shows up will basically win it. And
I'm taking the Lakers.
A big gap between the Lakers and the Pelicans, I would say. Like, as in, on any given day, I could say either team would win. I would never point to be like, 100% of the time that team's going to win. Or 75% of the time that team's going to win. I would say it's like give or take between the teams. But for the day, is Ingram going to show up?
Yeah, he played last game when they played.
Yes,
yesterday.
he will be out there.
Ooh, man. I really want the Pelicans to win so we could face the Lakers and then we could beat them and get revenge for the play-in games. But it's tough. I don't know. I think just like if I were to immediately react and be like, who's going to win? My gut's saying the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are going to win. I just think CJ, Ingram, Zion, who's going to stop? I mean, yeah, so is AD back, by the way? Did his eye boo-boo like
yeah, AD's yeah. I mean, like everything. I mean, it was like a fake injury that I think he was just probably didn't want to play that game and he made it up. He was immediately back.
Yeah. Like who's gonna guard
funny,
CJ? I don't see anyone guarding CJ.
He and CJ, even though the Pelicans. So this is kind of the interesting thing. Like the Pelicans lost by 20. They got basically blown out by the Lakers just 2 days ago. However, if you check like the lines, they're actually favored 1.5. So clearly Vegas is kind of agreeing with you guys. Like, the general public is kind of agreeing with you guys.
No, West said
blowout
Lakers.
may have happened.
I'm taking the Lakers.
Oh, sorry, my bad. With you, son, specifically. So Wes, you're out of touch with the common man.
Vegas
That's okay.
betting odds.
But anyways, yeah. I mean, it seems that people generally are agreeing that game was not indicative of everything. I think it's gonna come down to a couple of things. AD absolutely dominated the Pelicans that game. He had 30 and 11 and was, his usual self on defense. Like, you can see the impact he's making. He's disrupting things. He's causing guys to think twice about attacking the rim. All the stuff he does. It's kind of funny actually. Even in that game, he left like in the first quarter or something with a back injury, and then he just immediately came back. It's like what was going on there? Did you just like need to go to the bathroom or something? I don't know how it happens every single game for him. Just like it's something caused him to go back to the locker room. He must have like a heroin addiction or something. He needs to take a hit. And like every other quarter. I don't know what it is with him. Anyways, can the Pelicans figure out a way to deal with AD? I think that's the number one question. Jonas Valanciunas, he only played 7 minutes that game because AD was just bitching him, and I think he's probably not going to get a ton of run, even if he starts that game. He's clearly not the guy. He's just too slow. I mean, that's why I'm scared personally for the Pelicans. You look around that roster. Who's it going to be? I mean, it's not Zion. Zion, as we've seen many times now, he's just not suited to be a small ball center. He doesn't protect the rim well enough. He doesn't bang down low well enough. He's not going to be checking AD. I mean, in that game, you could just see the effects of it happening in real time. There's just nobody. Like you have Herb Jones, who's their best defender. He's like the prototypical 3-and-D guy, and he's an incredible wing defender and probably one of the best top 5 wing defenders in the league. But he's not
Bridges 2.0.
Exactly, yeah. You have other guys like Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy. Jose Alvarado, one of the better small defensive guards in the league. Trey Murphy, also a great defensive wing. They're sure as hell not checking AD. They're just too small. So I'm a little bit scared. I almost want to pick the Lakers. I think the Lakers are a pretty bad matchup.
I just think it's just
for the Pelicans.
It really just depends on if AD shows up too, though. Like again, I hate saying that if he shows up, because the problem though is that it's a 1-game game. That's the unfortunate thing. See, in a 7-game series, I totally agree with you guys. It's like, okay, in 7 games, AD will show up. But in 1 game, it's tough. It's tough to say. And I don't know. I agree with you guys, but I think
I think the biggest
I'm excited.
I think the big swing factor is that the Lakers, I mean, like you guys said, it depends if AD shows up or not, but if AD shows up, then the Lakers have the clear 2 best players in the game. And the way LeBron was just like dissecting them that one game, like he had like 7 or 8 assists in the first quarter alone. He was just like, and I think like Zion matches up well against LeBron typically, but when LeBron's like in transition or he's like getting switches, and then he can kind of just cook anybody else on their team. Zion does match up well against LeBron. Like, don't get me wrong, when he's engaged, he's a big body that LeBron has to try to finish through, and that's typically a tough matchup for LeBron. But other than that, LeBron can kind of just like pick them apart, and they're not a strong defensive team. Like Valanciunas, he's a big body, but he's too slow, I think, for some of the like D'Lo, Austin Reeves cutting back door. It's just they're 2 big teams. They do share that trait that like AD, LeBron, Rui, Zion, BI, Valanciunas. They're 2 huge teams, so it's not going to be like a fast-paced game. But I think that's kind of where LeBron thrives, is like dissecting slow games and like picking his spots, or like dissecting the defense and getting other guys involved. I think LeBron's just gonna pick them apart.
Knowing when to flop, knowing which refs to wind to.
I mean, that's part of it, but yeah.
Part of the game.
One other thing we'll say, just like going back to the game that happened 2 days ago, because I think that's the best way to kind of like, kind of try to analyze what this next upcoming game might look like. Pelicans had 19 turnovers, and if you're watching the game, their offense looked pretty disjointed. I already mentioned like a lot of it's just AD being AD, but some of it just felt like classic, CJ McCollum, inexperienced, like, lights are too bright type stuff, where it's
stepping out of bounds,
strange passes. Yeah, just stepping out, like that type of stuff. Weird passes,
throwing it out of bounds,
unnecessary charges, just poorly timed, poorly executed plays, stuff like that. It's hard to know whether that was like just kind of a fluky game, because 19 turnovers is a lot. Like, it's really bad. It's unusually bad.
Warriors level.
It's like a bad Warriors game, which for any other team is a really, really bad game. So the reality is, like, in terms of efficiency, the Pelicans were right there with the Lakers that whole game. They were just turning the ball over so much that it didn't matter. So I could easily see it, like, just based on that alone. where it's a close game that goes down to the wire and maybe the Pelicans pull it out. But my gut, unfortunately, I don't like to do it, is telling me to pick the Lakers.
Okay.
Wait, who'd you pick? You picked the Pelicans, Tom? Or Hassan?
Yeah, I feel like the Pelicans will.
Okay. I think it's nice that we don't have like a consensus because it could go either way, I think. But
And that's the beauty of one game elimination matches. However, the points you guys are making, I think for all practical purposes, the Lakers should win. But I still feel like the Pelicans may win.
I mean, I don't think it's like I don't feel confident about it, but
I mean, can you ever be confident in the Lakers? So that's the 7/8 play-in match settled. So the loser of that will play the winner of the Kings and the Warriors, and the loser of which will be going home. So
I hope we're all in unison here.
All right, we should all be in unison here. Look, so to the fans at home, if you guys have not heard,
Kings.
the Kings will be the Kings are missing some important players. They're missing Kevin Huerter, and they're also missing Malik Monk. So
6 man of the year,
which are two major guys for their team. Two major depth guys for the team. Elite shooting. Monk is also very good at attacking the rim. Good dunking, flashy, hype the crowd up. He was a nuisance. He was annoying against us in the playoffs.
He was insane against us, bro.
Yeah. So, missing two of those guys, it's got to be the Warriors. The Warriors have to win this. Like, with that, like not only that, like in the regular season we were tied with them, two of which we missed Draymond. So we played against them 4 times in the regular season. The first match we played against them was on October 27th, 2023. We won that by comfortably 122 to 114. Draymond was not playing with us in that game. Then we played against them again on November 1st. We won that by 1 point. In this game, Draymond was playing. Wiggins played well. Curry struggled that game. Then we played against them for the 3rd time in the in-season tournament. We lost by 1 again. We lost by 1. Another game that was by 1. Wiggins had a monster game, 29 points. And for the Kings, obviously Fox was hooping. Then our 4th and final meetup was another 1 point difference game in which we lost, where Curry lost the handle. I watched that game live, unfortunately. Common trend.
Yeah, that one was frustrating.
That was really rough. Common trend, 1 point games. We've had 3 1 point different games. So when both teams are there and we're hooping and everyone's healthy, we're pretty on par with each other.
Yeah.
With that being said, they're missing 2 of their main guys. It's like us missing, Brandon and Trace. Brandon and Trace. It's just like missing two guys who are not our main guys, I would say, but they're crucial to our team.
To Malik Monk, I would say is like
Malik Monk is basically their 3rd option. So
okay, so
I would say
Malik Monk, you can say like Clay. Play for
Malik Monk, I would say
Maybe.
in a game against us, I would say Malik Monk is like their 2nd most important player. He's even more important than Sabonis. I mean, we saw last year in the series, Sabonis was basically reduced to a bench player.
That's the thing that's going to be interesting about this game is like if Sabonis can't figure out a way to produce against the Warriors, I mean they're done. Even if they were healthy, like his ability, or I guess not ability, but his tendency to disappear specifically against the Warriors is fascinating. I think it speaks to the way that the Warriors.
Draymond.
It's Draymond, and it's the way that the Warriors have found to play him, to treat him as a complete non-factor on offense, to refuse to acknowledge his ability to shoot, to knock down even like a 15-footer mid-range, and just to try to make him like charge into the center of the court and then collapse on him, and to take away all of the kind of like cool like new wave offense stuff they do with handoffs and using him as a hub and all these cuts and stuff. If you just let him stand there, there's not a lot that they can't run all that stuff, and he's kind of reduced to being a non-factor. And I think that's only going to be worse when you don't have Malik Monk, you don't have Kevin Huerter, who are the 2 of the guys who make that system they run possible because of their ability as shooters and as cutters and as general offensive threats. Like that's a huge part of what's made their offense so lethal and so efficient. I mean, it was actually a lot better last year than it was this year, partly because they started missing those guys towards the end of the season. But so what's made their offense so efficient over the past couple of years is it's not just that they have Sabonis, who is a great playmaker at the center position and is a great offensive player, and De'Aaron Fox is a good first option, but it's that they surround him with Keegan Murray and Trey Lyles and Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk, who are all these incredible shooters that make it really, really difficult to stay with
Harrison
all of them,
Barnes.
when they're Harrison Barnes, when they're running around the perimeter. You take two of those guys out of the equation and, it disrupts a lot of what they want to do. I mean, they're going to be,
Absolutely.
I think, unless something changes, they're going to be starting Keon Ellis in this game. Who, I mean, if your reaction to that is who is Keon Ellis, like, fair, he's not really an NBA rotation player, and you're going to be starting him. So yeah, it's got to be the Warriors, dog. Like,
it has to be. It has to be. Like, and I mean, it's just like we are in a very fortunate position where they're not their 100% team. Because if they were 100%, I'm scared. I'm scared because it's like it could be anyone's game. Clearly, as you could see in this entire season, 3 1-point difference games. It's a tough matchup, and I think we're fortunate where they're injured. So let's take this one easy, boys. We got an easy stepping stone to the playoffs. Let's go there. Let's confidently win, comfortably win. Let people know, hey, man, we're here for a little bit. Don't just count us out that easily. And then I think after that, we will either play against the Pelicans or the Lakers. Now, again, I think it's one of those games where it could be anyone. Like, when we're playing against, like, let's say the Pelicans lose and we play against the Pelicans. It could be anyone's game. Really, I just think it could be anyone's game. It just really depends on how we go. Like, even if we play against the Lakers, it could be anyone's game. And that's been the common trend of the season. Like, the Warriors, when we show up, we play. We play well. And we're always in the game. And in a lot of our games, we had the most clutch games of the season. You know what I mean? So it's
the thing with either the Pelicans or the Lakers that we really match up poorly with them. And that's why I think they both prefer, I mean, obviously to avoid Denver, you want to avoid Denver at all costs, but it works out perfectly for them because if they get the 8th seed, then they get to face OKC, which is like, as good as they are, they're like, their main weakness is like, they're very talented. A lot of people are saying they're too young. I don't think they're too young necessarily, but they're like way too small. But they're way too small to handle teams like the Pelicans or the Lakers who have like Zion, BI, LeBron, AD. Those guys, they would just bully Chet inside, and like I don't know who you would put on LeBron in a OKC or Zion in an OKC series. I guess J-Dub, but like
exactly.
Am I missing someone? Yeah, or Lou Dort maybe.
I mean, Dort could maybe try checking LeBron.
I just think they're too short to.
He would be giving up a lot of size, but yeah, I mean, he has tenacity, I guess.
But but that's what I've heard the Lakers or Pelicans might try to like they haven't actually said it, but like tactically speaking, they would probably want to try to punt the game they're going to play tomorrow, and then hopefully beat whoever the Kings or the Warriors, so that they can play the favorable matchup in the first round.
That would honestly be hilarious.
It's like, they get bounced. That'd be so nice if you just bounce them. It'd
be funny. That would be so hilarious if they actually punted a game just to lose the Warriors. Would also just be funny to see oh, AD's not subbed in yet. There's 5 minutes left in the fourth. What's going on there? It's like, oh, after the game, I had a little finger thing, It's tough. Couldn't get out there.
I had a paper cut.
Couldn't bring the game home.
Yeah. So I think exciting stuff. I'm excited. The league tomorrow. So the Warriors and the Kings are playing tomorrow at 7. The Lakers and the Pelicans are playing at 4:30 tomorrow. The Heat and Sixers are playing on Wednesday, 4 p.m. This is all Pacific Standard Time. And then the Hawks and the Bulls are playing 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday. So 3 of these 4 games I'm very excited for. Hawks, Bulls, don't really care about. Lakers, Pelicans, exciting matchup. Warriors, Kings, I mean, obviously. And then Heat, Sixers, very excited for. So I think that's our pre-play-in analysis, as obviously hyper-focused on the Warriors. We're going to put out another episode this week for the next matchup the Warriors will have. Fingers crossed, knock on wood somewhere. Thomas, quick, you got a wooden table. All right, he did it for the fans at home. And exciting times, the playoffs are here. We'll catch you guys later this week.